Hey everybody, welcome to Liberty in EDC. I'm Daniel, your host, and we are here with Ron Briggs, and you're running for District 1, County Supervisor.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, so thank you for coming in, Ron.
You're welcome. Appreciate the invite.
Yeah. Normally we, like to get to know our candidates a little bit first, but I do have a little bit of a funny story to share. I don't remember if you remember when we first met, but so I'm friends with your son. But the first time I met you, I was over there at night, and I met you, and you had the classiest pajamas I've ever seen.
Pajamas?
Yeah, like striped pajamas.
Do they have holes in it and they're all ripped?
No,
pardon me? I mean, they're all ripped and stuff?
no, they were super classy. Yep.
Pajamas?
Uh-huh.
Well, at the farm?
Yeah.
What color were they?
Blue and white.
Oh, I know a pair here. I still have them. What struck you about those?
Oh, they were just super classy, and that was like the first, or probably the one time I met you before this. And so that was my memory of Ron.
Was I laying on the floor and watching TV?
I think you were making tea.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
That damn Alex, your friend, he'd run kids in there, and I'd be laying down and relaxing, and he'd bring 3 or 4 of his buddies. Hey, Dad, here's my friends. It's like, dude,
Yeah, that's pretty much
your hair's all wild, and you're relaxing from the day, and here's all these teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, my son Brian was better. He brought girls.
Oh.
Yeah, he said, hey, Dad, here's my girlfriend, which would be better than Alex praying, hey, Dad, here's Daniel.
Oh, not as good, I guess.
I guess that's not a good story nowadays.
Yeah, so, tell us a little bit more about you. So, you got a family, and you guys used to have a farm too, right?
We did. So, yeah, we've lived here in Placerville. I've lived in Placerville since around 1981. We lived in the city for a while. Dad bought a farm in 1970 that you went to in the Gold Hill area. It's about 100 acres. So off and on throughout my life, I've worked there, lived there. In 96, we moved there and built a house. And then in 2015, we had lost everything in the 2008 downturn.
Oh.
So we were not too big to fail. And we ended up migrating down to El Dorado Hills. And we have 3 boys. Alex is our youngest, your friend. Brian and RJ, and they were all raised in Placerville. They went to public schools. El Dorado High, like myself and my wife. And we have 6 grandchildren. And I wish I'd have moved to El Dorado Hills 10 years ago.
Yeah?
It's a different lifestyle. It's actually a lot more quiet and a lot more relaxing than running a 100-acre farm.
Oh, yeah, I bet so. Okay, that's great. Yeah, so what else do you enjoy about El Dorado Hills, moving down there?
Well, it's quieter. We lived at the end of Wallace Road here in Gold Hill, 2 miles from Highway 49. Dab at the end of the road, center of 100, probably in the center of about 400 acres. And it's more quiet in the El Dorado Hills Serrano backyard than it was at the farm. I miss the life of the farm. I miss the animals. I miss growing things.
Yeah.
I don't miss, insurance running up and, fuel running to $5 a gallon. And then you have to find out where you're going to get, 4 or 5 seasonal workers and employees and such.
Yeah.
So it's more relaxing in El Dorado Hills.
Great.
But I do miss being in Placerville. I do miss not being on the farm. But like I said, I wish I'd have done it 10 years earlier.
Yeah. Now, you were a district supervisor previously, right?
Yes. I represented District 4. So District 4 runs basically rescue portions of El Dorado Hills on the north side, Coloma, the Divide, Cool all the way up to Placer County,
Hmm.
and the Rubicon over to Lake Tahoe. So you know, it's the largest. It's the largest district in the county,
Mm-hmm.
and so I was elected in 2007, and I have the distinction, which I wear very proudly.
Yeah. What's that?
In 35 years, thus including today, I'm the only supervisor that they've reelected
In District 4?
in District 4.
Oh.
They've thrown out every supervisor,
They're all just single term?
all single term, and I was reelected, and I was reelected in a 5-man primary.
Wow.
So not only was reelected, I had it in the primary, which was really humbling. It's a very humbling
Yeah.
experience.
So,
you know?
so to get into the primary means you have to get a majority over
That's right.
all other 5 candidates, right?
And yeah, statistically, that's hard.
Yeah.
You know, it's very hard. But I think I did exactly what I said I was going to do for the people. I was straight with them. I don't think I strayed. I'm probably sure somebody's going to say, "Hey, you did this," and they're probably correct. But you know, as a whole, I responded, and they rewarded me, and I just really feel very honored that they did that.
Yeah. That's awesome. Now, so you're running for District 1 now, which is El Dorado Hills, and what else is in District 1?
It's El Dorado Hills proper. I
Okay.
mean, south of Highway 50, I believe it's Town Center and some of that Blue Shield area, but after that, that southward toward Latrobe is District 2. And then it's kind of around Green Valley Road and Serrano Parkway. You get a little portions of that, and then it ends right about Rescue.
Hmm.
So, but it is, El Dorado Hills has 3 supervisors. So District 4 touches about 1,400, 1,500 residents. And District 4 touches about 1,500 residents, my old district, on the north side. And the southerly side in Latrobe, and there, that's represented by District 2, which kind of swings from Pollock all the way down there. So
Yeah. So,
it's a different district.
yeah.
It's very conservative. It's well, the whole county is conservative, and it's different because you know up here you run into people. You know the people my wife and I hang out with are the people she went to kindergarten with. You know, or we went collectively to high school with.
Yeah.
And down in El Dorado Hills, you know, there's a lot of imports and people of all cultures, and it's fun and fascinating to meet people who, you know, most of them came from the Bay Area, but you know, there's quite a bit from Asia and from India, and you know, to talk to them and to kind of learn about their culture, because I was wrapped up in Placerville, right? It's been it's been a fun learning experience, and making friends on a whole new level.
Yeah. No. So, what type of issues do you see that are unique, or I'm not necessarily unique, but you know that are important to District 1?
Well, I think this entire county for the last 30, 40 years of the issue has always been growth. You know, most people, the new people that move up here, they've taken a picture of the county, and so they've taken a picture of their home, and that's how they want to preserve it. So the people in El Dorado Hills are probably more no growth on a whole than the people, say, in Diamond Springs or in Placerville or here.
Why do you say that?
Because I think they moved up here to be rural, and I think they abhor the thought of another Irvine or San Jose
Mm.
being built up where there's just, house upon house
Yeah.
stacked on each other.
Yeah. Like we moved away from that.
That's
Like we
correct. They
we
moved
don't want
away
that
from it,
happening
and
again.
they don't want that happening here.
Mm.
Yeah. And then the roads, of course, are always constrictive.
Mm.
And the county doesn't maintain, well, the county doesn't maintain them, but they don't improve them. So you
Mm.
start putting more houses on a road without expanding the road,
Mm-hmm.
and people get really a little irritated at that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
To
yeah,
me-
it
yeah.
sucks. I mean, yeah, some of the roads in El Dorado County just aren't that great.
And so, law enforcement in general is people. It's an issue. People want to feel safe, but every poll I've seen since 1980 in this county,
Mm.
roads poll at 92%.
Mm.
Every single poll is above 90.
Mm.
People want their roads fixed,
Mm-hmm.
and it just doesn't happen.
Mm.
And
Well, I would say Measure L's done a pretty decent job
that's in
in
Placerville,
Placerville.
yeah.
So we've seen some improvements.
But in the county, they don't have that. And the
Hmm.
board, this particular board, has stripped much of the road fund.
Hmm.
And when
Why's that?
I think they're inept.
Hmm.
To be nice about it. When I left office in 2000, so I left office January of 2015. That's when I was gone, termed out. I believe it was in the latter part of 13. We put in a 4-year, $14 million, funded $14 million program to fix every road in this county, to bring it up to,
You say we, that's like all those supervisors at the time?
thank you, the board.
Hmm.
And I believe that passed 4-1. And so the moment I left office, they defunded the program and got rid of it. Had they left it alone, everybody would be driving on an acceptable road. I'm not here to say that they all would be overlaid and there'd be pretty lines and everything,
Yeah.
but the potholes would be fixed and certain roads would be expanded, and that didn't happen.
Hmm.
They just stripped it away.
So what do you see the fix for that is going forward?
Well, money's always tight. So I mean, a government budget is it's a circle, all right. So you can't take $10 million from here without taking it from somewhere else.
Right.
It doesn't work that way. It's not like private business where you and I might try to do something like that, and we'd run the debt.
Hmm.
So I mean, it is a living, breathing circle, and it's always how do you get new money into that.
Mhm.
Democrats always want to put new taxes on it.
Hmm.
So Measure L in Placerville is the right way to go about it. If you're going to tax the people, have them vote on it.
Hmm.
If they want to vote the tax in, that's up to them. But if some boards, some counties, they the elected officials tax, and it irritates people because it's much similar to the lottery back in the 80s. You were probably just in diapers, but the lottery was going to fix the schools. The schools would never ever need any money. The
Right.
teachers would all be paid, and it would be nirvana, and none of that came to fruition.
Right. Yeah, we've seen a lot of misappropriation by the different. Sorry, what's the word I'm looking for?
Well-
with those funds, like they
Well,
haven't
yeah.
been used very well.
And right, the legislature says, oh, geez, we've got a $16 billion deficit, and so the lottery's bringing in $4 billion, but gee, we can't touch it. Okay, so then they do a legislative fix where they can go borrow it or take it, and it never gets repaid. And I don't really care about the state, but my point is, in local government, it is a very finite circle of funding. And so to take from one, you have to take from the other.
Mm-hmm.
And so where does the other come from?
Yeah. Where does it come from?
That's right. So, the quickest and easiest way is to fire people,
Oh. Mm-hmm.
right? So, but in El Dorado County, I don't know how much of a education you want, but,
Yeah. Give it to me.
yeah, there's, 2,000 people, so maybe there's 1,800 now, I don't know. But for budgeting purposes, they're at $100,000 each, just as an average.
Mm-hmm.
A deputy sheriff is $130,000, $140,000 is what they cost. But a social worker, CPS social worker, maybe at 45, or at the high end at 60. But by the time it all comes together, $100,000. About 800 of the employees sit over at Health and Human Services. Health and Human Services is about 98% funded by the federal government.
Mm.
So if you fire a Health and Human Services guy,
It doesn't really change anything.
it doesn't change anything. But you go fire a deputy, you've got 135,000. You fire 10 of them, you got 1.3 million.
Yeah, but I think we're already short on deputies in the county as it is anyways.
I pick on deputies because it's an easy thing to find. But of course, it's probably the last person you're going to fire is a deputy. So then, okay, where are the rest of those people? They're planning, which, what do they have? 20 people? Or
like city planning?
no, we're talking about all county.
Oh, okay.
And so the pickings get really super thin as to who you can fire.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want to fire anybody.
Right, yeah, that doesn't
Because you
look
really,
good.
the county's fairly lean as it is.
Mm.
So my point is, to fund a road, where do you get the money?
Yeah, so,
We used to get the money from logging.
oh, really?
Yes. So we'd get, the logging fees would come in and they'd be taxed and they'd come in, and we were funding the road fund in those days at $2-3 million a year, which is okay. You could keep your roads up pretty well. But there ain't no logging. Just isn't.
There's just not any logging anymore?
No. And then the feds came up with, well, let's do the payment in lieu of the logging tax. It's called a PILT, P-I-L-T.
Okay.
And when I got elected first in 2007, the PILT was at about $1.8 million. So you can still do something with that. By the time I left office, I think it was down to 0.
Oh.
Because there's no logging. So
Now, why did we stop logging?
well, we didn't. The federal government did, and the environmentalists did. And I consider myself an environmentalist, so I'm not going to pick on them. But I think we really come. They've swung that door of environmentalism too hard.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a responsible way to log. I mean, without people going in and, trimming or, doing some, taking trees out of forests, they just get overgrown and just, become ripe for fires, basically.
But we got screwed when Camino closed. So Sierra Pacific, which is the largest landowner in the state,
The Camino Mill.
they bought the Camino Mill and they closed it.
Oh.
And we got real screwed when the city of Placerville took up all the railroad and made it into a trail.
Oh,
So-
were they actually using the railroad for the logging? Oh, I didn't know that.
And then when you close the mill, so now if you start logging in El Dorado County, the closest mill is in Ophir,
Where's that at?
south of Rockland.
Oh, okay.
So you have to haul all those trees over. So in order to get an active logging program together, we're going to have to come up with some type of small mill, and that's expensive, and most people don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And the environmentalists will fight you.
Yeah. So do you see that as being a practical fix, or not a practical fix?
It has to be part of a fix because we're burning.
Yeah.
And, that paradise scares the hell out of me.
Mm-hmm.
They practice evacuation on that one road. They widened that road.
What road?
The main road out of Paradise.
Oh.
So when you saw those pictures of the people driving down the roads, the cars are littered, right, and they're burnt, and they're all kind of making their way. For 4 years, those people had an evacuation plan, and they practiced 2 or 3 times during that period. They widened the road, they paved it well, so if there was a fire in Paradise, you go down that road. And so everybody did that, and guess what? The dad who was trying to save his family drove his kids right into a furnace blast and just burned his whole family. That scares the crap out of me.
Yeah.
When we had the King Fire, you had Highway 193, you had Rock Creek Road, and I think that's all you had. And, where are those people going? Rock Creek Road sucks as it is.
Yeah, I grew up out there. I used to drive Rock Creek Road every day.
Right. I mean, God, I drove it and I hate that road. I drove it when I was a kid. But, some people, you're going 25 miles an hour. People are pushing you over. But my point is, how do you safely evacuate families on those 2 small roads?
Yeah.
And so logging has to be a part of the overall solution because we got too many people on crappy roads with antiquated PG&E lines and not enough room for them to travel safely away from a fire because more than likely they're going to be traveling into a fire. I'll shut up about this, but the King Fire burnt 60,000 acres in 4 hours.
Wow. Man, that's really fast.
That's fast.
Yeah.
It scared the hell out of everybody.
That's terrifying.
It was just terrifying. And, we were doing the county, so the sheriff, emergency services, myself, because it was my district, we were going Camino, Georgetown, Georgetown, and then Oakmont school out there, Golden Sierra.
Oh yeah.
And Camino, we were rotating every 3 days and giving people updates. And the people want, where do we go? How do we get out of here? And the sheriff wouldn't answer them.
Really?
Cal Fire wouldn't answer them. County Fire wouldn't answer them. Georgetown Fire wouldn't answer because they didn't want to send those people down a road.
Oh, in the wrong.
They
didn't know.
They didn't know.
Yeah. Oh man.
I got up there. I said, look, these guys aren't going to tell you where to go. I can't, but all I can tell you is get your stuff ready to go, and if you can, leave right now before it becomes too late.
Yeah.
But then, I got the dog, and I got the horses, and I got this, and it really is. It's just, we are ripe for that type of fire. So, El Dorado Hills, I'm not too altogether sure that they're, they have the same thing to worry about than the rest of the county. But, and I'm not even sure how the hell we got onto this subject now. So let's go back to El Dorado Hills.
All right.
Hi, I'm Rick Rowe, owner of Placerville Polaris and Power Tools. I've owned and operated Placerville Polaris since 2007. If you'd like to experience the off-road, or if you have property in our community, come on in. Let's see what we can build for you. We are your one-stop shop for off-road fun. We do it all, from building your dream toy to decking out your RZR. We are complete with a full shop, and we proudly service all our products, including our power tools. We carry only the best top quality brands, and we have everything you need for taking care of your property and maintaining your 100-foot defensible fire space. Building off-road vehicles is a passion of mine that I take very seriously. I like to be personally involved in building your dream toy from start to finish. Here at Placerville Polaris, we do a lot of testing for the manufacturers to ensure you get the proper accessories to fit your specific needs. One of my favorite parts is test driving to maximize satisfaction and quality. Come on in. Let's see what we can build for you.
Contact Placerville Polaris at 530-622-9079 or 673 Placerville Drive or placervillepolaris.com. I didn't realize like they stopped all the logging up
no,
here.
they log out the dead trees, but there's no active, checkerboarding. 160 acres. You're getting the clean trees.
Yeah.
Because the diameter of what you can cut is so narrow, it doesn't really make it worth it. So they get the salvage from fires, so that's a lot of what you see.
Oh, gotcha.
But there is not anything active that would take and enable the loggers and the foresters to thin the forest in a fashion where we get more snow melt on the ground. And then B, we thin the forest out within it, and you reduce the fire danger.
Yeah. So I know this is less of an Dorado Hills issue, but what do you see a fix for El Dorado County being for that? I mean,
well, I worked about 5 years on it, and we're fairly close with. And I have a very good working relationship with every single environmental group. There's about 5 that make a difference. The Center for Biological Diversity are the real tough ones. They don't want anything. They don't see El Dorado County as we see it. They see El Dorado County from 35,000 feet. And they see it on a map of the United States, and they don't get as close as we do. But it's cooperation with it would be a program with loggers, with the environmentalists, with SMUD. I say SMUD because SMUD has the majority of the facilities up here. PG&E doesn't. So SMUD, PG&E's up here, but SMUD, all those large transmission lines, the upper UARP, which is the Upper American River projects, what's called the UARP, all that's SMUD.
Oh, okay.
So you would need some type of cooperation with SMUD, and maybe some high small dams, so you could generate enough for a biomass plant, and you could tap it in the SMUD system, and you can deliver the logs to it locally, and make it so it's profitable for everybody. But you need to buy off of all the enviros, and that's a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
It's not impossible. It's just takes
complicated.
time. Yeah.
Lots of red tape. But we got on this subject because we were talking about roads. So, so logging doesn't seem
used to
be,
pay for it.
Yeah, used to pay for it, but
Now it's out of the general fund, and so out of the general fund, it competes for the sheriff. I think they got roughly $180 million is what it's called, discretionary funds. So the Health and Human Services with their 800 people, they probably run on a $200 million budget. Of that $200 million, maybe 200,000 or so, or 2 million is out of our general fund. So they're all basically federally mandated programs, mental health and such. So then you have to grab it from somewhere. like we were talking about before, you know, and employees make up of that $180 million. You know, employees probably 130 million of it, and of that, the sheriff probably sitting on about 80 million of that, right? So you know, you're going to tell the sheriff, you're going to tell people that you're going to cut deputies because you want to fix roads? Nah, they don't like that.
So,
Dexterity is the answer to your question.
what does that mean?
Well, dexterity is walking the fine line of taking a little here, a little there, so you don't cheese off everyone to get to the programs you want to get to.
Okay. Do you think that we'll have to add some type of tax, like what they did with Measure L? You know, adding a.
I would, you know, taxes in this county's, bonds in this county are hard.
I mean, nobody wants to pay more money.
No, and I think it'd be very difficult to get it done. No. So, I mean, I don't know, you know, there are opportunities when the tribe opened up their gas station. That was an opportunity for the board to, and I don't know if they've done it or not. I don't think they have, from my understanding. But if I were sitting in there, I would have gone down and talked to the tribe and said, if you're going to run your cars on our road, because they may own the land and they may own the gas station, but those roads are El Dorado County. And so, you know, I think that there would have been opportunity to maybe get some, you know, a few $100,000 a year. And, you know, something like that you can use as new money.
Yeah. So you think just doing a lot of piecemeal, a little bit here and there, we can get to enough to get our roads to a decent
I don't know where the
spot?
opportunities are any longer. So, you mean your largest partners in this county are the home builders. I mean, Parker Development, which, you know, I'm not my sworn enemy, but I mean, I just basically don't want to vote for anything he has. You know,
What was that? Just
it's new houses.
yeah, just the growth.
I mean,
thing
he
in
wants
general.
to take Marble Valley, which is gorgeous. You know, he has he's got 2,000 acres, 1,800 acres, something, I don't know. And he's got the right to build a little under 400 houses. But he has a plan he's been working on for about a decade to put close to 3,000 houses.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a lot of infrastructure.
a ton. And it's a ton of people too. But you know, it's a $3 billion project at the end of it. So the tribe is a partner, but the tribe basically all the deals are done with the tribe. And I don't see any really new partners coming into this county. You know, you saw the home builders, and they're going to say, gee, we already pay our Measure Y traffic mitigation fee, so, you know, our taxes are already done.
And what's Measure Y?
Well, Measure Y was first voted on by the people in 1998, and then again in 2008. And Measure Y created a system in which home builders had to pay through a formula, had to pay for new house. They had to pay for the roads. Their new housing projects paid their fair share of road improvements.
Gotcha. Because all the extra traffic and everything.
But somebody got the stupid idea that all the money that we've collected for Measure Y in El Dorado Hills
Has it gone to roads?
pays for Silver Valley interchange, paid for El Dorado Hills interchange. And so basically the next 20 years of collection of traffic mitigation fees is already spoken for.
Oh, it's already spent.
It's already gone. Unless you want to break the deals.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, that's probably enough about roads.
Roads.
Is there any other issues that you see important?
Roads. Now, development is always the big thing. Roads are a big thing. I think people want to know that fiscally, I am a conservative.
Hmm.
So I am a Republican, and I've been born and raised conservative, and fiscally I'm a conservative. So that means balanced budgets. We paid off in my term. We paid off all the county debts. When I left the county, it had no debt, and it had about 40 million in cash. Now I think it has 50 million in debt and probably 30 million in cash.
Hmm.
But people want to know that you're just not going to take their tax dollar and, um, there's a word I want to use, but I can't use
Yeah,
it.
just use it frivolously.
Yeah, frivolously, thank you. Yeah. We don't want to use it frivolously.
Hmm.
My El Dorado High School education's coming in with the big words.
Oh, yeah, me too. Also, El Dorado High School.
Yeah, what year?
Um,
2000?
2004.
2004, just like Alex.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So, any other issues that you want to bring up?
Well, I think the good issues. I mean, really, what I like about being a supervisor,
Yeah.
houses aside, NIMBYs aside, and road issues aside,
Mm-hmm.
I spent 8 years in the Elder Protection Unit.
Mm.
So essentially, anybody that touched seniors, elders, so home worker, so the public guardian, senior services, the sheriff, code enforcement. We brought in City of Placerville PD, the DA, a couple of judges, and we talked about people, and we talked about the system of elder fraud. And we came up with a couple of ordinances that protected that assured that the home health care worker had licenses. We talked, when the judges weren't there, we talked specifically about certain cases, which, it would really sicken you to hear what people can do to other people.
Yeah.
So,
Especially vulnerable people.
Oh,
That's-
they would, one guy taped, there was one healthcare worker that had 3 seniors, and so to get the money for each of them, she would duct tape the seniors to their chairs, and go from one place to another.
Oh man.
Yeah, and collect their money, and when the raid was actually made, and generally speaking, the people that caught these cases was code enforcement.
Oh really?
Yeah, and you'd go there, and then
Oh,
you'd
just
get.
because the place was just so not.
That's
kept
correct.
Up. Oh wow.
I mean, you've been to 100 of them in your deputy, in your Eldorado sheriffs, and so then you get a deputy to kind of knock on that door. Code
Yeah.
enforcement has some law enforcement
Like powers.
powers. Thank
Yeah.
you. That's what I'm looking for. But you get the deputies, and then you bring in public guardian, and then all of a sudden you start opening up the doors, and it just sickens you. So we were having troubles forever with, and at the time my brother-in-law was a Superior Court judge, Steve Bailey, and he was a juvenile court judge. And we were talking some family thing, and he was cheesing off on all the social workers, and another judge, Dylan up in Lake Tahoe, she was citing our social workers and giving them contempt of courts.
Oh.
Yeah, you know, so
Why? Like they,
right, why? And so I was telling Steve, you know, gee, guy, we had this terrible turnover because we, you know, say 20 social workers, we were turning over 15 of them every year. Because they'd come here, they'd get grounded, and then they'd go over to Placer or some other, and then make an extra $15,000-$20,000. So we had an emergency meeting of the board, and we talked about it because I brought it up because I had learned all this, and we gave them a raise, and that still didn't happen, and they were still getting contempt. So I started
the raise didn't happen, or
it did
didn't
happen. Yeah. Because we wanted to retain.
Yeah.
Because you know, if you're continuously educating somebody, you're not getting
Right.
anywhere.
Uh-huh.
And then everybody suffers, in this case, kids. So I started the Child Protective Unit. I got the board to approve it, and we created it. But in that one, we didn't talk about any kids particularly. I mean, that was all, you know, protected. But we talked about the system, and we brought the same people in. But it was like, you're the judge and I'm the social worker, and guess what? We're talking. Okay. And they ironed out all their problems within 10 minutes of each other. You know, it's just because, well, gee, I thought you wanted this, but no, I want that, and you know, here's how we do this, and this is why we have to do this, because, you know, what the feds are telling us to do. And, you know, it was just
communication.
It was stupid communication.
Oh, man.
You know, it was incredible, and that was one of my favorite memories was walking out of that meeting, and the two judges stayed long, and the social workers stayed long by themselves. You know, the meeting was an hour. We left, you know, and they were in there for another hour just hashing it through. And you know, that was probably one of my favorite memories. Is just to, you know, and the judges to want to do it too. You know, not just my brother-in-law, but it was Dylan, and it was Judge Malikian was in there, and they were just talking, and man, they were ironing out everything, and that was worth all the crud that you have to put up with when you're a supervisor.
Yeah, actually, that's probably a good segue for this question. Is, you know, why do you want to be the, you know, first district supervisor? You know, why do you, like, what's your why for you?
Well, I don't want to be arrogant, but I don't think District 1 has had a supervisor in there that I've seen that is strong enough to get the money that they rightfully deserve, because they ship a lot of money up the hill and they get very little in return. And it's been a common complaint by supervisors, the last 4 or 5 supervisors that I've known, but yet they don't do anything about it. You know, one of the things that is
and why is that? Just because there's a big, like more commercial center in Dorado Hills, and so a lot of that money just heading up the hill for other projects, or
and sales tax and property tax, and you know, all that those expensive homes have property tax, and that gets up here, and then, you know, where do you send it? I lost my train of thought, but
we were talking about sending all that money up the hill, we haven't had a supervisor who's really
here's the uniqueness of me.
Yeah.
I try to be humble about it, but you know, when I first ran for office, the Republican Central Committee gave me this 200-page question, and 30 of the questions was all about a guy named Bill Center. So Bill is he was one of the lead advocates in the Sierra Club. He was a river rafter. he and the outfitters down there were probably caused the greatest amount of consternation in this county. It kicked off the road wars. You know, you can't build houses without good roads. Kicked off Measure Y. You know, there's this constant battle between them. But I knew Bill through swim team and through his daughter Becca's relationship with my son. They didn't have a, you know, they weren't girlfriend, boyfriend, but they were good friends.
Okay.
And I knew Bill from drama and from this very personal relationship I had with him.
Yeah.
It wasn't political. I knew who he was, and he knew who I was, and we talked politics all the time. But when I went to in my first election, I sought and received, even though I'm a Republican, and he is a, you know, he's dead now, but he was a diehard, you know, Democrat, liberal. He endorsed me. He helped me quite a bit. And on the other side, I had the Republican Central Committee. And I had those relationships because I grew up with a lot of those people myself. And they knew me from high school. They knew me from, you know, all the work, all the things I did in Placerville, you know, and raising the kids. So when you get on a board of supervisors or you get elected to the city council, you generally don't know a lot of the people. So then it's up to you, if it were you, to create a relationship with 4 other people. You know, and then some people are shy and they don't know how to do it. But for me, I know them all. You know, I've on this current board, I know them all very well. I had business relations with some of them. I had personal relations. I had political relations. You know, going on to this board, if I were elected, you know, with the exception of I don't know who's going to be in District 2, you know, I know very well most of the District 2 people running. But Wendy Matson, I know real well. Thomas, been friends with her, served on committees with her, get along great. Lori Parlin, the same way. Sue Novacell, the same way. So point is, you know, you have to run in when you're elected as a if you're an elected official, it's up to you to build relationships and have relationships that are meaningful to get things done. We have a really crappy law that the legislature put in years ago. It's okay. I understand why they did it, but they exempted themselves. They didn't do it for the legislature. They did it to county supervisors and to city councils and to CSDs, community service districts, water districts, and that's the Brown Act.
What's that?
Well, it's how everybody but the legislature is going to act. So, not more. If I had an idea to fix the roads, and I came and talked to you about it, I'm prohibited from talking to anybody else about it.
Why is that? Because
they don't want. Theoretically, it's to kill the old backroom door or the backroom deals. You know, when we all get together secretly and we're smoking cigars and drinking, and we're going to say, hey, we're going to put all this money over here, and we're going to take this over there, and we're going to screw that guy over there. You know? So they now put that all into the public forum. So if you and I want to come...
That sounds like a good thing, right?
Well, it can be, but it's cumbersome. Because if you and I have a project, or not a project, but a plan, and you throw it out in the public, you know, your colleagues are going to, for the first time, going to hear this and see it, and they're going to have a whole different reaction, or perhaps the same reaction. And then the public's hearing it for the first time. So this thing has not really been vetted.
Hmm.
You know, if you were able to talk to all the other supervisors, you know, one
Yeah.
on one, and say, what do you think of this? And they all say it's a cruddy idea. Well, then maybe you wouldn't put that idea up to begin with.
Uh-huh.
But you're prohibited from that.
So it really hurts the efficiency of
That's correct.
everything.
But if you have relationships with them, and they know they know that how you think, and they know that you're not going to do something that will put them in a bad position or a bad light, I think you get things done quicker. You know.
So is that your why though? Like your personal why for you? That you just enjoy doing these or working, with these people, like doing these relationships?
Well, I think I already have them. So the why. I really like helping people, except for that guy who came in and Amway'd me.
Amway, do you?
He Amway'd me.
What's that?
Amway. Do you remember Okay,
I
Amway.
don't know.
Okay, you're a kid. So it's a pyramid thing.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I come to it's a business, right? Okay, so I come to you and say, hey, I got all these cool products for all these cheap prices. You go off and sell your friends, and and you get other people underneath you, and then you get their money, and I get your money, and all of a sudden you build this pyramid, right? And it's generally soap and dishing. And this guy came in, and he wanted to talk about the Rubicon Trail. But he didn't talk about the Rubicon Trail. He came in and wanted to sell me Amway products.
Okay.
Except for him. I like helping people. I really do. That's the biggest joy. Because most people, the thing that's in their way is themselves.
What do you mean by that?
They want to yell and scream at government, but they don't know why they're doing it. They just know that government's saying they can't do something. And much like the judges and the social workers, it is really often a very small fix that makes somebody feel pretty good and gets their if somebody wants to build a fence, but the building department's saying, no, you can't do this for this reason, and they get mad, and they come to you, and then you find out it's really, this really minuscule thing, and everybody's happy. And that's a very common thing in government. And so, like I wanted to talk about a particular project that was approved yesterday.
Yeah.
And I called planning department, and I called the planner, and I called the chief of planning. I called building. I called a supervisor, and one of them sons of guns called me back.
Really?
So I called somebody pretty high in the government, and they called me back within minutes.
Wow.
And I told that person, I said, I understand people are busy. I get it. And sometimes...
Yeah, it's called public service.
Thank you. That's right. And most people forget that. They don't know that they're there to serve. They don't know that they're there to serve the public and not to serve themselves.
Amen, man.
So there are people that get there and they just want to know how they can get extra money. And we had one supervisor who was trying to get their Burger King fix paid for, this paid for, and it's just like this rape of taxpayer funds, And they forget this. They forget that that's not what they're there for. That's not what public service is about. It's not about your ego. It's not about what you think. It's about what your constituents want.
Yeah.
And it's an implementation of what they want. And people forget that when they get elected. They think that they're there to they're there because they're elected. All of a sudden, they're exalted, and their opinion is the only opinion. And that's why they don't get reelected.
But you get reelected in
I
District
got
4.
reelected once. Yeah. Well, because I think I served them well. One lady, there was a pretty good sized project, and this kid, he was probably in his 40s. He inherited some money. He had put like $1.5 million in this project. I said, dude, don't do this. Early on, I said, don't bring this project because I'm going to vote no on it. And I'm going to get my other colleagues to vote no on it too, because it's my district. And in my district, I'm going to do what the neighbors, and I'm going to do what they told me to do. And I had backslid on that one. And this lady came, a group of the neighbors came to me, and this lady came and she looked me square in the eye. And she said, Supervisor Briggs, I voted for you because you said you were going to keep us rural. And so I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, oh, she's right. And I called that kid up and I said, don't bring it, I'm going to kill it. He brought it. And I killed it. Because that's what the neighbors wanted. That's what the area wanted, or didn't want in that case.
Right.
So that was a hard thing because I think I bankrupted that kid. And I was going through that myself.
Yeah.
You know, I felt really bad for it.
Yeah. But I mean, at the expense of the people you're supposed to be representing.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, and you told him not to.
Yes, vehemently. I told him not to. The lawyer, Bob Laurie, he was a friend of mine.
Yeah.
Bob had been around here for a long time. He said, Ron, I'm leaving. You can't get anything done in this county. I said, well, is it because of what I did? He said, no. He said, you were even with that guy. You know, but he said, they're two-faced everywhere else. And I think he ended up going to Imperial County or something. Yeah, he was a lawyer.
Now, so if someone's interested in your campaign, you know, where can they find more info about you?
Well, I'm pretty pretty self-contained. You know, my campaigns. You know, my dad ran for the assembly when I was 5 years old, and so when I was 5 years old, I had to put, I had to stuff a box of envelopes. So that's 500 envelopes. You had to stuff those before we were able to go out and play. So, you know, I've been doing.
Did you do that to your kids too?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, if I can grab them. I think they're mostly in college, and Alex was. Yeah, he was
they
in
were
college.
probably a little older.
Alex was in college too. But Alex is a pretty good campaigner. You know, but you know, it's Briggs for Supervisor, and I don't have a website. I'll put my number, give you my phone number, you know. But I just have a regular Facebook page, or pardon me, a Facebook page that I think it's open to the public.
Okay.
And like I said, I'm pretty self-contained. I'm funding the campaign myself. I have friends I've developed over the decades that are pretty good political strategists, and I think we're there. I'll take money, but I haven't taken any money from anyone at this point in time. If I get into the general lot, that will probably change, but we'll see.
Okay. See when we get there.
Yes.
Is there anything else you want to add before we close out here?
No, thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Good to see you again. I remember you when you were a kid, and I'm glad that you picked up when, Mike is his name, right? When Mike passed, and you know, I'm glad you picked up where he left off.
Yeah, it's been a blessing.
Yeah, good for you.
Thanks, man. Okay. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. This has been Liberty and EDC. I'm your host, Daniel, and this is Ron Briggs, and he's running for District 1 Supervisor. And you can catch us on Comcast Channel 7 up here. We're also at youtube.com/Foothill7TV, and you can also find us now on in podcast form on pretty much any podcatcher out there. And we'll see you guys next time.
My name is Jeff Gutierrez, one of the owners of True Value Hardware on Missouri Flat Road. My parents are the original owners and bought the store 36 years ago. I grew up in the business and had my first day at 12 years old. The first customer I went up and asked for help, he said, "Yeah, go get someone older." I still get that response today, but now it's a compliment. Steel and John Deere are rated the best in their respective industries. And here at True Value, we have the benefit of carrying and being the local dealers for both of those products. I've always looked at being a salesman as you got to love what you sell. If you love what you sell, it's not gonna feel like it's a job. You're just getting the right equipment for the customer. The great thing about our store is you can do everything through the store here. We have a repair shop, we have rentals. If you don't know how to use it, we go over everything when you rent the product. I myself am a new homeowner, so I am getting an idea of everything that I need for home renovations. Everybody's got a different job, and we want to be a part of that job and help them through that job. It's very important for us to have a happy staff. Our staff is an extension of us. We support a lot of families through this business, and that's what I love. I love it when a customer comes in and says, "Hey Jeff, I need this," or "Hey Brian, I need this." It kind of warms my heart to know that our store has such a footprint in the community. We try to support our community in many different ways, and one of those ways is through donations. We definitely help out all of the local schools. We support Relay for Life, local youth sports, Eagle Scouts, Toys for Tots, many different organizations. It's important for us to be a part of the community and to really make an impact in people's lives.